Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here with my co host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Tracy, I'm really excited about this young lady we have today. Our special guest is Theodora Christophorou. Theodore is Senior Vice President of Operations of the French Workshop, a popular bakery cafe chain rooted in the authenticity of the pastry shops and bakeries of Paris. Theodore's innovative approach to operations have been instrumental to the brand's expansion, and she has many insights to share on leadership and growing a brand. And we're going to ask you a million questions about that. Having grown up as an employee in her family's pizzerias and cafes in New York, Theodora brings a deep understanding of the restaurant industry. After gaining experience outside the family business working in management, she returned to join her family's latest venture, the French Workshop. So I cannot wait to hear this whole story, Theodora. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you both, Rebecca and Tracy. It's a pleasure. I'm very excited.
Me
Yeah, we're
too.
excited to have you, Theodora. So you've got a long history of working with your family on and off throughout the years. What is that like?
Um, so yeah, on and off, we've been working together, all of us, myself, my brothers, my father, sometimes cousins, depending on the venture, for kind of born into the industry. And it's good, so it's wonderful. So some days, as anything, there's good and bad. Some days are great and wonderful, and you're so thankful to be able to work with your family. And then some days are really hard, and it's really hard to shut it off. It's really hard to go home and disconnect, but as everything has good and bad.
So to that point, the working with family, how do you, I'm going to say, separate psychologically? What do you do that lets you be who you need to be at work? And then I understand you're a mama of three children under three, and then shift gears and do that. So tell me more about that.
Yes. So I think it's definitely a work in progress. We're still working on it and trying to balance that relationship. And when I say war, I mean, me, my brothers and my father and I. Um, but I think the most important thing is to remember what room you're sitting in and what you're there to discuss and who you have to be in that room. So, there's the conference room that I have to sit next to my business partners, and then there's my dining room table that I get to eat turkey with my brothers. So you just have to remember what role you're playing.
Building on Rebecca's question, do you ever have a sense of overwhelm or maybe even guilt that you're supposed to be in one place, but you're in the other, or you have to tend to the kids and you should be in a different mode? How does that work?
Yes. Short answer, yes. Yes, and every day, right? Every day is a balancing act. Every day is a new day. There's some days that I kill it. I win. You win. And there's some days that you go home and you're like, today was not my day. Today was not my day. I I got to do better tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. Um, I think the sense of guilt is something that is, I suspect, lifelong. My oldest son is 3, and I've been dealing with guilt every day since the first day that I came back to work. Um, but you have to be able to trust the team. Trust the team that you've set up. Trust the team you've set up at home. Trust the team you've set up at work. Prepare them, empower them. Know that you're always on call. In case of anything, I'm always on call. My phone is always on. It's always loud. It's always ringing. But you have to be able to trust the people around you and lean into them. And I think that's really an important thing. And to be present when I'm at work, I'm at work. And I'm focused on being productive and efficient and executing. And when I'm home, I'm doing that at home, you know? And if my phone rings and there's an emergency, of course, so you have to tend. But I just really try to separate and focus on being present. And it's the curse and the gift of being a woman. I think
Mhm.
women have to have to balance it, have to figure it out, have to figure it out. And not to say that men, you know, it's different. It's just a different relationship. I'm not here to tell you that I'm sure it's really hard being a father and being away from your kids all day, but women, it's just different. It's a different relationship.
Our brains are different. Our
Yeah.
bodies are different. I do think the masculine brain can compartmentalize easier than we can. And that's kind of what you're talking about is you're in this role right now. You're going to do that best role, whether you're at the, boardroom table or you're at the dining room table. You have learned to play that role to the best of your ability. And honestly, I agree with you that it's not a natural thing for women to be able to do that, to compartmentalize that clearly. So oftentimes we feel like we are straddling a lot of different responsibilities. So I admire you for being able to
Thank
do
you.
that, especially with babies, three.
Babies.
Yeah, they're
Babies,
great.
I'll say I tell my friends you know that are new moms or going back to work. So I every time I've given birth, I've come back to work about a month later. Very hard, right? I love what I do. I love what I do. It's a family business. Love what I do. Love my kids. Very hard. But what it is, especially with my son, the first one, I remember getting into the car every day and crying because I don't know, it's overwhelming, right? The emotions and the feelings and that the anxiety of leaving and whatever. So I remember crying every day on my way to work. And then I remember going to the bathroom and drinking some water and washing my face and like, okay, I'm here for as many hours as I have to be here because this is what I need to do for them. So focus. And like I think that really allowed me to like hone into that ability to like shift and make things into compartments.
I
Wow.
remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tears and what am I doing?
Mm.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I want to backtrack just a little bit because it sounds like you're very hands-on, both at your job and with your family situation, but you've surrounded yourself with a very strong team that you trust. So tell us about that. You're hands-on,
Mhm.
but you trust your team. When do you know to let go and when do you know to jump in and handle something?
Um, I think it comes with time with everybody and their, you know, the relationship and the rapport that you've built. Um, you know, you learn every day. Some days, you know, oh, I should have done this or I should have helped there or I should have seen that coming. But if you you know, get into a groove and you can create that chemistry with, you know, your team. And I'll say, I mean, the French workshop, I'll start there, is like we've been able to create such just wonderful teams and dynamics and that, you know, work well together, collaborate, bring in people that they know, other people to build our team up, add value, add a new perspective. So I think, you know, you just keep learning and you lean into that trust of that other person and you know, always assume positive intent.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I operate.
Yeah, I like that. Always assume positive intent, right? Because we kind of have a tendency to project what we're feeling inside. So
Yeah.
if we're a positive person, we're going to project that. Uh, my question, involves the dynamics, right? I'm always so fascinated with family dynamics, especially, myself. I built a business with my ex-husband, and, I know from experience that we did not always agree on everything. So I'd like to ask you about that. Like, it's not really possible for you and your brothers and your dad and maybe your cousins to always agree on everything. How do you handle conflict within a family business?
Um, it's hard. I think as we get older, we are getting better at it, and
Mm.
it's not as personal. And we also all don't go home to the same house, you know? And I think that helps. And I also think at the end, when we sit and are like, well, okay, we disagree. But again, assuming that positive intent, knowing that all of us have that common goal. We're all here to build a business. We're all here to build a legacy. We're all here to feed our kids.
Mhm.
Um, so maybe we don't agree, but you're not coming from a malicious place, and neither am I. So let's try to hash it out and figure out how we can compromise.
You remind me of a good friend of mine who's an attorney. And I guess there's a legal term for this, but basically he would say never attribute a behavior to malice that you can attribute to ignorance.
Mm.
Meaning,
Love that.
I made that decision, I did that behavior, I did that stupid thing, not because I have any malice in my heart, I want to hurt the company I'm working for or hurt you, but because I'm just not knowledgeable or I don't have, a basis to make a better decision or a better behavior. And if you come from this positive intent that you're talking about, it's like you have a different set of glasses on, right? When you're looking at that employee or that business partner, that this is someone that's coming from a pure place. It just may not be getting us where we need to go. Is that how you see it?
Yes. Yes. And I think, it hasn't always been that way, my mentality. But when you start to look at things through those glasses, like you say, everything starts to shift. So, um, it's made a positive impact in our relationship, in my brothers and I and my family, so that we can be able to sit and say why we disagree. Obviously, I have a different perspective than my brother or my other brother or my father, but let me explain why. I'm not trying just to be difficult.
Difficult.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be difficult. But this is what I believe in why. So it's really helped us. It really has.
Which to that point, you've had experience outside of the family business and the corporate environment that you're bringing back. I don't know if your brothers and your father have had that same experience. So you're going to be bringing those perspectives back. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What you brought back from your corporate experience in management?
Yeah, so it was priceless. Really looking back and my time in the corporate setting and coming back to the French workshop with it, I was able to learn how to be on a team, how to be led, how to understand corporate structure, hierarchy, verticals, um, procedures, processes. It's like, you're coming from a place of an entrepreneur, a small business owner that wears every hat. And then you're going to this place that's like, don't touch that. That's not your job. In a way of like, that's not our team doesn't handle that. We gotta ping it over to that team. I'm like, why? We could just do it. So no, we have to do this or we have to do that. So I think I've brought and when I came back in and started working with my family again, and as the team started to grow, we went through growing pains and are still going through those growing pains of learning how to, that's not my role. I gotta consult with the decision maker, which is my brother, but still, that's his role. Or if he's doing something, he's like, oh, and then I'll be like, hey, that's not your role. That person doesn't report to you. All these things, and it's hard. It's hard to restructure someone's, especially like my father, right? My father is older and he's, been working a certain way and he's very good at trying to understand the new dynamics, but he's just like, oh, what do you mean? I see a problem, I have to fix it, it's a different way to work.
Yeah. And everyone has their own way to work. Everyone has their own view box. So just out of curiosity, do you have some kind of, I don't know, philosophy that you live according to when it comes to work?
I think so from a young age, around high school, when I read the book The Outsiders, Stay Golden.
Mhm.
Stay Gold is something that has kind of resonated with me and I hold close to my heart and I repeat almost daily to myself. It's kind of how I live my life. And what that means to me is to really stay as grounded in my truth and my authenticity as I can in both personal and professional worlds and live, and stay true to that. And so that's kind of been my motto.
Nice.
That's another set of glasses or another filter on those glasses that you were talking about of assuming positive intent, but it's also looking through who am I really and what is my gold and how can I be true to that in everything that we do. When I think of gold, I think of this kind of purified metal, right? And that means we've gone through some things that purifies us. So do you think that your gold and your character is evolving and changing and refining just like gold would?
100%. I think, the person that I was 10 years ago, when we started this concept almost 10 years ago, is not the same woman speaking to you today. Um, Between personal life and the growth of the French workshop and the different stages and world and COVID and all of the things that have happened and motherhood and marriage. And I think I try very hard to self-reflect as much as I can and see what that means to me now, and what are the ideals. I mean, the core ideals are the same, but you grow, you evolve, you see things in different ways, you handle things in different situations. You're able to control yourself, control your reactions, better
Mhm.
prepare, better anticipate things, and evolve, and life pushes you that way. So it definitely changes. I'm sure in 10 years, if we
You're going to
have
be a
a
different person.
conversation, I'll be very different.
Yeah, and you'll still be authentic.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think that will ever change.
Thank you.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. So this is completely off the wall. You're Greek. You have a beautiful, big Greek family that you get to work with. Okay, the French idea, the Paris idea behind the French workshop. Come on, I don't get that. Why is it not a big Greek restaurant of some sort?
That's
Tell
the
me,
Greek French connection. Is that the
that's the
question? What's
Greek-French
the
connection. Yes, exactly, Tracy.
Yeah. So it's actually a great, great story. We, again, right, have grown up in different food concepts. We've had Greek bakeries, we've had restaurants, we've had cafes, we've had different things. My brothers and I always knew that we would be working in the family business. So everybody kind of went to school or learned a craft to better the business. So I went to school. I studied international business and marketing at Hofstra. My brother Jerry went to what was then the French Culinary Institute in Manhattan, which is has been bought out by another school now, but it's a still school. And you know, my other brother went to NYIT for what was then also computer science. I think things have changed, but so everybody, you know, kind of picked what they liked and studied it and tried to bring it back. So I remember when Jerry was going to school, we already had Greek bakeries and cafes with restaurants, pizzerias. We already had the, you know, some of our concepts along the way, delis. And he was bringing home these incredible pastries. Incredible. We would eat them after dinner. We would try them, these pear tarts and these croissants and these, oh my goodness. So he just fell in love with French pastry. And we all did too. And from there, the love and the concept started to grow. And the French workshop was born out of a partnership, a marriage of our family, the Pantalatos family, and the Zorbas family, which are Cypriot. They're not Greek, but we love, you know, I married a Cypriot, so it's all the same, you know? But so that came from this beautiful concept came from the marriage of these two families, bringing their expertise and a love of food and a love of culture and concept, just a different experience. That's how this came about.
Interesting. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a multicultural situation.
Yeah.
I get hungry just listening to you, girl.
Oh my God, you got to come visit. We got to have some, we'll have some espresso, we'll have some croissants, we'll have some whatever you like.
Where are the French workshops located?
We're all, right now, all of them, we have 4 operational units in New York, 3 on Long Island, 1 in Queens. Our 5th one will be opening, corporate location will be opening in Astoria, Queens in January. And we also launched our franchise, you know, project. So we're currently talking to prospects and have opened up markets for franchising.
Beautiful. Do you have one by Oceanside?
No, not yet.
I have friends in Oceanside. I would tell them to go.
Tell them, tell them to visit us.
Hey, so I have a question based on something that you said a little bit earlier
Mhm.
about how you're always reachable, you know,
Oh,
and
yes.
and also like tying into this whole concept of being like busy and chaos and all that. And I'm going to add one more factor. So I have a client years ago who told me that he loves a healthy tension in business.
Love that.
So, yeah, so I'm curious, you're saying that your phones are always on, you're tending to the kids. Like, do you have a scenario where you might have been called late one night or is that just kind of like letting everybody know, hey, if you need me, I'm here, but not really having to use.
Yeah, I have a scenario, a recent scenario. I think it was September. All the days kind of blur, but I think it was September. I was called around 11:30 at night, and a small electrical fire had broken out in one of our locations.
Wow.
And oh my God, I ran out of that house so fast. I went with star pajamas and I went to the store. And I mean, of course, my manager was already there. Now assistant manager, now supervisor. The team put out the fire. I mean, I can't, they're
Oh,
heroes. They're French workshop heroes. They put out the fire. They called the police. They called the fire department. They called the manager. The manager called me. Everybody reacted very quickly. But no, always on, always reachable, always on
oh,
loud, because you never know what can happen. And, you know,
Mhm.
these stores are like my children. I say it all the time. They're like my children. The team, the staff, they're like my children. They're like my kids because yes, we're in the food business. Yes, we are here to provide excellent product, an excellent experience, and a memorable one, but you're only as good as your team. Your team needs attention. Your team needs you. You need to trust them. They need to trust you. And we're in the business of people. we're really in the business of people. And I think people don't get that. You know, people that are not in the food business, we're in the business of people. And in order to build that kind of culture that you want to build, you know, you need to put yourself out there.
Wow.
That's for sure. So I'm getting this picture, Theodora, of this incredible, the French workshop and a line out the door for those buttery croissants and
Mhm.
pear pastries that you were talking about. How does one, that would stress me out. I'm telling you, that would stress me out to see that long line. How does someone deal with that? I would call that chaos, as Tracy kind of mentioned earlier. Do you thrive in those environments or do you shut down?
I love chaos. I don't think I could do what I do if I didn't love chaos, you know? Three small kids and a business and you know, I love chaos. I love high pressure environments. I really do thrive in very stressful environments. My husband jokes if I wasn't in food, I think I would be an ER doctor or something. But
Mhm.
I think you can't work in food these days. Probably any days, right? But you can't work in food if you can't problem solve, if you can't think on your feet, if you can't, you know, put out fires, if you can't learn how to dance in that chaos and have fun with it and motivate people through it to want to stand side by side with you and you know, enjoy it. Enjoy the rush. You can't be in food. Food is chaos.
And delicious all at the same
Yes.
time.
Yes, but it is. It's just, it's like every morning I'll wake up and I'm like, I take a deep breath. I think it's with business ownership as well. Um, you take a deep breath and you're like, all right, what's today got for me?
Bring it on.
Yeah.
So I'm curious where you see the French workshop expanding into. What areas?
So we are so excited we've worked, you know, hard to get it to where we've gotten it and officially launched the franchise project and opened up these markets. Our primary focus right now is in the tri-state area, New Jersey, Connecticut, Eastern Pennsylvania. We are, because something about the French workshop is that we try to be very strategic in the way that we grow in order to properly support our franchisees both logistically and operationally. So yes, the tri-state area, and then I guess round two or would be up and down that this East Coast, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Florida, you know, to be able to support our franchisees in all ways and make sure that they're successful. I think ideally that's the main focus right now before we think about anything else.
Yes.
I think that's wise to kind of grow in concentric circles or
Yes.
phase one, phase two. That way they have the support from New York, you know. And I like that slow growth idea. It makes it uh, easier for those incoming franchisees to have direct connection with you and get the training and the support and the best practices that they need. And you're a hands-on person, so
Yeah.
you'll definitely be in there helping them do just that. So, question. If someone wanted to learn more about the French workshop, how would they get hold of you or who should they get hold of to learn more about the opportunity?
So you can visit our ownafrenchworkshop.com. You'll submit like a form and it takes you right to our franchise manager that will reach out to you and call you and then, you know, bring you in and we'll have a meeting and, you know, I'll get to meet with you and chat things through. So that's one way. You can go to our regular website, which also links to that, thefrenchworkshop.com. You can send us an email, hello@thefrenchworkshop.com. social media, of course. We're very, very active. The French Workshop on Instagram, Facebook, everything comes through to the marketing team. I'm also CC'd on all of these things, so I have visibility to it. But yeah, people are very excited and reactive to make sure that your messages go to the right place.
That's perfect. I gotta say, this conversation gave me hope in the younger generation. I mean, you're so wise. You're
Thank
so
you. I
you're
appreciate
so
that.
wise and grounded, right? I'm sorry, I wasn't that at your age. I was like a ping pong ball. I just was all over the place. So
You. Thank you.
you're
Thank
an
you.
amazing young woman, and I'm really excited to see where your life goes. And of course, how the French workshop will continue to grow through your leadership and the leadership of your family. So thank you for sharing your wisdom today and your heart, which is of course gold. We can
Thank
see
you.
that.
Thank you.
So
Thank
thank
you. Thank you for having me. This was so nice. I'm so thankful to get to talk to women in business and in this industry, and I really, really appreciate it more than you know. So thank you very much.
absolutely. And Tracy, some final words from you.
Rebecca, I have to say, and Theodora, there are so many takeaways from this conversation, even just the basics of like, I won today versus I'm a mess today. Like, I can't ever in my life imagine you ever being a mess because, like Rebecca said, you are so grounded and you have such incredible, great, calm energy. So, from the outsider looking in, right, for somebody like you to say like I won today, I'm a mess today, like you're setting that ideal, right? Like I guess what I'm trying to say is like if you can be a winner today and a mess tomorrow, then there's hope for everyone, right? Because you're setting that pace, and you're a person who I admire and who I think that our listeners could really look up to and take a page from your book so that they can step fearlessly into, the gift and curse of being a woman too.
The gift and curse. It's
Yeah.
it's so interesting as you're saying that, Tracy. Um, that I'm a mess today. I got it under control the next day.
Yeah.
I think the part of what is so admirable with Theodora with that, and I don't personally have this, is to not judge either. You're not judging either. You're accepting both parts
Yes.
of that rather than looking back, oh, yesterday I really messed up, or yesterday I just didn't have it all under control. You're just accepting that this is the way it is sometimes.
That's what drop the mic. Drop the mic. That was the icing on the cake. Exactly. Yes. That's what it is.
And that's okay. Like, I think if there's any message, and I try, try to tell even the women, the young ladies in the company is like exactly what you're saying. It is okay. You just gotta get up the next morning and go again. Like, don't let it take you under. You gotta get up and try again. And maybe the next day you're a mess. Maybe the whole week you're a mess. But guess what? The next week, you got it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh my goodness, all the time I wasted on, oh, I messed that up, and oh, I'm gonna try it, Theodora.
Try
I'm
it.
gonna try it, okay?
Try it.
Give myself some grace. So
Uh,
again, thank you for being here and sharing your heart. And Tracy, thank you for always really adding light to these conversations. You go deep so quickly, and I so appreciate you. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in today. Make sure to share, comment, like this video. And of course, we'll see you next week on another episode of the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged.